This is NTV.
Welcome everyone to Every New Day. This is the ENDstream with myself, Berd, and of course to my right.
Edge.
No,
I'm the Edge. Hey everyone, welcome to the ENDstream. We're back.
Yes, and as you know, you can catch us streaming simultaneously on Rumble, Kick, and YouTube. Hit that follow button on all your favorite platforms, and so you never miss a moment. Smash the subscribe, drop a like, and let us know what you think in the comments. Feel free to post comments or join the chat here, the live chat. Plus, jump into our Discord community. The sooner the better, because at some point, we don't know yet, but we will be closing it off and making it exclusive for members only. And we're also on x.com and Instagram, so join us there. And today's stream, as we informed you last week, it's more of a stream about like what we want to talk about in particular, not so much a recap on the news or headlines, which is reserved more for our Friday stream at the same time. So did I miss anything? I think we covered all of that. I think
You mentioned that we're simultaneously streaming on YouTube, Rumble, Kick, and our socials on Instagram, X, and
just give me a second.
Join us on Discord. So we're going to be talking about a lot of interesting topics today. I hope you'll enjoy. We're just going to wait a second for Berd to get back. And
the light was too bright. I was just adjusting a light there. I just noticed it was a bit too bright. So as we kind of advertised it on our Instagram that we're going to cover the big caboodle.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is kind of an Epstein at some point. Going to cover Epstein. Well, not so much Epstein, but more so the DOJ memo and the
Department of Justice. Yeah, there's been a lot of drama in the States and worldwide. Like everybody's watching this case.
A lot of people are not happy with the results that have just come out, and we'll get into that. But first,
most people are familiar with Epstein.
It's a bit of a double whammy as well because of which we reported on also the Diddy trial and the verdict of him being not guilty with the most serious crimes. So I think it's weird. It makes you think. It makes you wonder.
Makes you think who's involved and what else there is. What else is going on?
Always. But before that, we thought we'd cover some other interesting topics that we didn't have enough time to cover previously, which we think is interesting. So there has been, it's been reported over last week, evidence of negative time found in a quantum physics experiment. So scientists have detected negative time, a flow that moves backward from the future, literally back from the future. You may ask, what is negative time? Well, researchers at the University of Toronto, led by Daniela Angulo and Ephraim Steinberg, conducted an experiment using ultra-cold rubidium atoms. This is getting a bit,
scientific.
Deep.
This is from Scientific American in this article.
When photons pass through, which are these light particles, the team measured how long atoms remained excited or active. Surprisingly, some photons exited the atomic cloud before the average excitation time had elapsed, resulting in measured negative dwell times. This corresponds to a negative group delay, meaning photons appear to leave before entering per this quantum time definition. So all of this scientific babble, what does it really mean? It doesn't imply that necessarily time travel or a causality violation. The effect is statistical and quantum, and arising from how particles exist in superposed states and how certain probabilistic ranges of temporal values occur. The experiment's results matches established theory on group delay, showing the negative measurement in physically meaningful but not a measurement error. So Einstein's relativity or theory of relativity still holds. No information or photons exceeded the speed of light.
Mm-hmm.
There has been controversy in the scientific community reaction to this. So a prominent physicist, someone who we are actually familiar with, Sabine Hossenfelder, criticized the interpretation, saying it's merely a phase shift description and not actual reversal of time's arrow. And others echo that while fascinating, the term negative time is misleading and needs careful framing. Despite all this buzz, the work remains a preprint on arXiv and awaits formal peer review. So all this experiment basically reveals is it's a counterintuitive quantum phenomenon where measured excitation times can be negative, reflecting the probabilistic, non-classical nature of quantum processes, not actual backward time travel. So yeah, an interesting piece of scientific news, I think.
I actually find this pretty fascinating because, everybody's like looking out at space or bigger things. It's really fascinating to look at the quantum bits, like the micro, like super microscopic.
Yeah,
it's not just like building blocks of everything. This is like subatomic.
Yeah.
We're talking like tiny. And I actually remember, like in the past, like I was reading up on this sort of thing, and it wasn't so much about photons, but it was like electrons that were like going around and kind of disappearing and coming, like then appearing. And people were saying that maybe they go into like a different dimension, then they come back, or like some sort of vibration thing. But also, like regarding photons, I know that on the previous live stream, we actually mentioned solar spheres, that take out electrics and stuff. But what was interesting is that photons, from what I remember, actually go, let's say, through the Earth. That like they're so small that it like passes everything. It's
mad, yeah. When you break it down to that, as I always thought it was interesting that how photons being these light particles, obviously.
Yeah.
And how that makes up most of our understanding and awareness of the nature of reality based on our perception. Because without light, obviously, we can't determine or measure things as they are. So it's quite intriguing.
And do you want to see some of this video?
Yeah, let's play it.
A recent breakthrough from the University of Toronto adds another fascinating layer to quantum physics: the observation of negative time. This is not just a thought experiment or theoretical construct. It is a phenomenon observed in a controlled quantum setting. In this video, we'll break down this extraordinary discovery, exploring its science, implications, and why it is so important for our understanding of the universe. We'll also delve into its broader context, comparing it with similar quantum phenomena, and discuss the lively scientific debate surrounding it. The experiment conducted by Daniela Angulo and Ephraim Steinberg's team aimed to measure how photons interact with matter, particularly how long atoms stay in an excited state after absorbing light. Using lasers and an apparatus carefully calibrated over 2 years, the team passed photons through a cloud of atoms. This interaction caused some photons to be absorbed, temporarily exciting the atoms before they returned to their normal state and re-emitted photons. The team measured how long the atoms remained in this excited state and found something completely unexpected: negative time. Let's use an analogy to grasp this. Imagine cars entering a tunnel at noon, but the first cars emerge at 11:59 a.m. This may seem impossible in our everyday understanding of time, but it accurately represents what the researchers observed with photons. The photons appeared to exit the interaction before they entered, revealing a temporal behavior that challenges classical physics. Toronto adds another fascinating layer to.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's an interesting analogy there. But yeah, it's pretty much that. So although it's like as we were reporting, like this is not necessarily indicative of time travel, but it's actually telling you something intriguing about like how these light particles can work. And so what does that really say about the nature of reality in general as the narrator?
and also
of,
like the laws of physics and time and how things
classical
work.
understanding, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if anybody's more interested in, if anybody wants to check out this video further, the channel on YouTube is NSN, so N for November, Sierra November, and
NSN, negative time observed. Yeah. So this is apparently this was posted actually about 6 months ago, although it has been reported on again recently. So it came back into the news cycle, especially in the science news cycle. So anyway, we thought it was interesting element to talk about. Not many people have been actually like looking into it. So
yeah.
But we can move on to something else that probably a lot of people can get behind of, or maybe not. Which is Elon Musk, who made a big announcement. When was that? Can you about last week or so? I think it was last week. About new technology.
This article is from Yahoo Tech, and it's from the 21st of June.
Okay. So he announced that Neuralink, where that thing that everybody's been going crazy over because they're saying like it's the haters are saying like, hey, that's gonna be, it's the mark of the beast, or
nobody wants to chip in their head or hand or anywhere.
But then there's obviously the practical implications of this that will help a lot of people who actually have neurological disorders or diseases and require that. So it's it's a bit of,
I think it has to do with eyesight, if I'm not mistaken. Like people who can't see properly, but it raises questions on like what's next after this. Like, would they turn people into like RoboCop with like enhanced vision on the battlefield?
Transhumanism. I mean, I think that is the natural step. But before that, let's just cover the. So he announced that Neuralink will begin human trials for its first vision implants, as you mentioned. It's within the next year, marking a major step forward in brain-computer interface technology. So this is all like using the eyes and kind of like Google Glass without Google Glass. It's with your eyes. This project aims to restore and enhance sight by directly linking a neural implant to visual processing. The announcement signals a shift toward real-world medical applications of Neuralink's tech, following earlier FDA-approved trials for paralysis-related implants. If successful, the vision implant could help treat blindness and pave the way for future innovations in neurotechnology. So these human vision implants are Neuralink's next phase, as Elon Musk has announced. And yes, the next thing will be an overhaul of Grok AI. For those not in the know or who aren't on X, previously known as Twitter, their AI app is called Grok. And they just, I think, released, we were just informed, the 2.0 version. But this
it's within X, isn't it? So whoever has X, they can use it. Do you need a premium account, if I'm not mistaken?
I think you can still use it, but you're very limited. But yeah, premium account enables you to use it fully.
Like extra features.
Yeah. So Grok 3.5 is incoming. So Musk emphasized plans to retrain his XAI model, Grok, citing a need to remove far too much garbage from its dataset. Musk hinted that Grok 3.5 will provide clearer, more original answers, and is working toward rewriting the entire corpus of human knowledge. So kind of what Wikipedia has tried to do. The bottom line, Elon Musk's dual focus, advancing Neuralink's vision implants and enhancing Grok's AI capabilities via data retraining signals a bold push into next generation BCI and AI. The implications are profound, and these developments could shape the future of human-machine integration, which is what you were just saying. And it looks like, regardless of what people say, and there are a lot of people who are against it, but there's always been this thing, which is since the 70s, the transhumanist movement, and with also the genre of cyberpunk and the popularity of all these things. We're seeing more convergence, more and more, and now with the rise of AI, it does look like we will see a lot more convergence with tech and the bioorganic element of humans. And there will be those who will reject it, I assume. But there will be those who will embrace it because they can assist.
Exactly.
The obvious issue will always be, and that always comes into play, that, which is where the suspicion lies, right? Is will these things be used to weaponize or go against humanity? Which inevitably there are always applications for that in the military. They're already looking as well, So, and that's one thing you have to take into account.
But then again, it could. For example, AI and this technology with like prosthetics or enhancements. I mean, it could also assist people with, let's say, disabilities who, let's say, can't use their legs or don't have legs or limbs, or allow them to move, or like all of this is a tool, and depending on how you use it, will determine the outcome.
Right. Exactly. So I'm a proponent for it, but again, I think with all tech, it obviously gets in the hands of the unsavory, and so they're already meddling with it. I mean, we already see how they're trying to apply AI, within the military and to weaponize it. So
absolutely,
it's a no-brainer that they're going to do this with this technology. But that's the case with any technology. Unfortunately, that's always going to be the case. So
and.
Until the war industry is dismantled completely. That's sorry.
We're also working on a video of on Palantir. Which has to do with AI and all this kind of warfare thing and
connections,
population control type stuff. So
what were you saying?
Keep an eye. I just mentioned like that we're making a video on Palantir.
All right.
That has to do with AI.
We can cover this too, I guess, as well. This is interesting. So,
about NASA, there's a mysterious object shooting through the solar system.
Yeah, they confirmed this mysterious object. So this is it's an interstellar visitor, as they've termed it.
Dun, dun, dun.
This other article claims it's a third visitor from another star is hurtling through the solar system. So it was first detected as, bear with me, A11PL3Z. That's the name of it. On July the 1st, 25 this year, by NASA's Atlas network in Chile, with observations traced back to June the 14th. Officially designated 31/Atlas, marking it as the third known interstellar object, following 1L/Oumuamua. I think that's
actually a famous one.
Oumuamua, and 2L Borisov, which was 2019. Well, this was. I remember this being also mentioned. Oumuamua, it's a funny name. This was back in 2017. So its physical characteristics: it's traveling about 60 kilometers per second. It's about 37 miles per second. Relative to the sun, it exhibits comet-like features, a faint coma, and short tail. Hence the cometary designations. That's why they're thinking it's a comet. So it's designated as C/2025 N1. The size estimates vary, possibly up to 20 kilometers across, though the nucleus may be smaller if much of the brightness comes from the coma. It's currently near Jupiter, so that's more or less 416 million miles from the sun and on a hyperbolic path confirming its interstellar origin. It'll reach perihelion in about that's about 1.4 AUs from the sun, just inside Mars's orbit around October. This will happen about October the 30th of this year. And its closest Earth approach is about 1.6 AU, more or less 150 million miles, posing no threat. It'll be observable through telescopes from late 2025 into early 2026. And a live stream from the Virtual Telescope project helped track it in early July. So, scientific
Pretty
significance.
fascinating.
Yeah. It's got valuable opportunity to study material from another star system. Obviously, its passage allows ample observation time, and it contributes to the growing understanding that interstellar objects may be more common than previously thought. So, yeah.
And also, just to give a visual, like the previous one from, was it 2019?
Yeah, this was the...
What?
No, that was 2017. The 2019
Yeah, I know.
we saw.
I know. I just thought of like showing a picture that I just found of it, because this new one, we don't have a picture, but we have a picture from like
the
6 years ago. I think it's like something like this.
Right.
So pretty elongated, but who knows? Who knows?
This was actually, I remember a lot of people were, when this came out, a lot of people were hypothesizing that this was like some sort of alien probe or something. Yeah.
Probe,
and there were like a lot of things developed on that, which was quite funny. You're right. So now we can get into the crux of it, right?
The nitty gritty of today's
This is where
show.
everybody starts tuning in now. All of a sudden, waking up. We covered our science and astronomy.
No serious like stuff
tech.
now.
So, as you heard, or if you haven't and you've been living under a rock, Diddy was not charged for the serious crimes. We have a video here, which was the live reaction to the verdict.
Really?
We'll play it in a second. We'll play it in a second. But yes, he was not charged for the most serious of crimes, including trafficking, amongst others. But he will be convicted for the more minor crimes, and he will, I guess, serve a sentence. But this obviously came as a shock to the victims and those who were highly critical around him, who were close to him, because obviously they don't understand how this could occur. But anyway, we'll play this clip. I haven't seen this yet either, so it should be interesting. What's going on? Oh,
this is from Fox 5 Atlanta.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Relax. I've just got some housekeeping notes that I want to pass out.
Where is he being detained? He's in is he in Florida?
Where you can hear me, I will project my voice.
Or Texas?
Hopefully, we will start.
I'm confused.
At 10 or very close to that. However, that's not a promise.
Hold on.
My name is Jonathan Lamb. I'm the PIO for City of Kerrville. A few things I would like y'all to be aware of. One,
New York.
The temporary flight restriction is still in effect. Flying drones will and have been interfering
let's talk about
with our
drones.
response and recovery. We're asking everyone to adhere to this directive. You are not allowed to fly drones anywhere over the river court, anywhere in Kerr County.
Yeah, this is in Texas. Kerrville is in Texas, but he was being held in a detention center in Brooklyn. Just to clarify. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, sorry about that. That video.
What the heck was that? That's supposed to be. It's wrongly titled then. What? That video is wrongly titled by the actual.
It was.
Hold on, let me have a look.
Yeah. You see, it was titled this reaction to verdict, but
that's weird. All right, that's Fox 5's fault.
Yeah, in fact, we were expecting to have a reaction ourselves, but
There's a guy who talks earlier. Wait, let me just see what he says. What?
How about this?
Weird. Okay.
Another big story we're following for you. A judge has ruled Sean Diddy Combs will remain in jail after a jury found him guilty on 2 counts of prostitution. The music mogul was acquitted, though, on the most serious charges, that's sex trafficking and racketeering. Attorneys for Combs declined to comment on the bail being denied, saying that those things are still in process. Listen.
We are not nearly done fighting. Today was a major step in the right direction, but we fight on, and we're going to win, and we're not going to stop until he walks out of prison a free man to his family.
CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman was inside the courtroom yesterday.
He already got like a reduced sentence.
It's funny because he's been convicted of prostitution, but not trafficking. I mean, so what he had?
Yeah.
So how is he convicted of prostitution? Does that mean that he had a legal?
Going on?
Did he have a license to prostitute people, or like? How does that work? I don't quite understand. Or did he? Or is he being convicted of prostituting himself? I don't quite understand that.
Is he just like collecting money that other people underneath him are?
I don't know, but
people around. I don't know. There's some human trafficking element in this.
There definitely is, and in fact, which we can show later in a moment. Whitney Webb, who's an investigative reporter out of, I think, she's in Argentina. She actually explains a bit deeper why she finds like connections as to why this may be the case, and
Sure, I'll open it now.
She basically, I think you can play it off the, where is it? Yeah, just play it off from there, from the start. Because she exposes the connections in relation to the Diddy case.
That I hadn't published yet involving her and Epstein. And so I thought it would be interesting to explore how she sort of intersects both worlds. But then, in doing that, kind of realized there were more intersections to be had. Including the current president, among other figures, Ron Burkle being another one. So it seemed worth exploring at least that broader network. And, a lot of the people, oligarch figures that pop up in my book, the Bronfman family, for example, had an outsized influence on the record industry and on hip hop in the 1990s and beyond. And some of that intersects with other aspects of my Epstein research that I sort of explore with my co-author, CZ Means, at the end of, this first article. Hopefully it'll be a 3-part series, but, sometimes these things run a little long. We tend to do long form journalism at Unlimited Hangout anyway, so it might be more than 3, but some of my past
Whitney
stuff
Webb's
sort of on a
podcast. Yeah, Unlimited Hangout is kind of like Whitney Webb's podcast, where she goes into depth with a lot of corruption and stuff. It's really cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, Carrie.
Things that were going on in the 1990s in the world of covert ops, sort of linking some of this unusual activity in the hip hop industry with allegations made by Gary Webb and his Dark Alliance series, and some of this, what I wrote about in my book, One Nation Under Blackmail, about Epstein's apparent involvement in arms trafficking during the first Clinton administration. Okay,
I didn't know that about arms trafficking. Like, here we're getting into like different industries. Like, well, the other one wasn't.
Well, it's not far behind, right? That's the thing. So
17 visits to the Clinton White House were about, and why he had assisted on behalf of his, main patron, Leslie Wexner, relocating the Southern Air Transport airline, which had previously been CIA owned and had been the main Iran-Contra airline that had been involved in drug and arms trafficking for the benefit of the Contras in Nicaragua. How that was sort of repurposed in this period and sort of had teamed up with these corrupt actors in China's military-industrial complex to basically flood urban America with illegal assault weapons, which is not really something that gets talked about a lot, but I've always thought is a pretty important piece of the puzzle in talking about, this alleged effort that's touched on here of sort of engineering a cultural shift for the purpose of for the benefit of the private prison industry. And so there's an exploration of that as it relates to Diddy. But basically, in a nutshell, the interest in the Diddy case was similar to my interest in the Epstein case initially, in that, the way the media narrative is about these cases is sort of, very focused on either Diddy or Epstein, and like they were the mastermind of all of this stuff. And these people never exist in a vacuum. They tend to have significant moneyed benefactors that somehow evade persecution or even investigation. That's very obvious in the Epstein case, but I think it's also pretty true as it relates to, the Diddy case as well. And he learned this behavior that he's now, in prison for and awaiting trial for from, various other figures that have somehow evaded the kind of charges that now face Diddy. And why is
other figures have evaded the charges? So there's other people who are involved in this whole case.
Yeah.
But somehow they kind of disappear without a trace.
Of course.
that? So
Or
the series is meant to sort of explore that, and also
they stay in the shadows. They don't. They're not the light is never shined upon them, because that's the problem. I've always said that Diddy and even Epstein were just like they're big guys, but they're not the main ones. The main ones are above them. It's just, you never hear about them. So
yeah,
how this broader, I guess, oligarch network that also has a lot of ties to the Epstein situation sort of pop up in the record industry with direct connections to Bad Boy Records and Bad Boy Entertainment, and some of these other business ventures of Sean Combs.
So in these sort of things, in our opinion, there should be some deeper investigation and not just finish with Diddy's trial. There should be okay, let's look a bit deeper into this.
Yeah.
Who else could be involved in this?
Yeah.
Right. And also, I'm not sure how much my audience follows this, but do you mind giving just for people who don't, can you give a history of what he's being accused of, the state of the trial, and any relevant information you think it's important to know or understand? Sure.
So I'm not, the series probably isn't going to include stuff that would, sort of be more like court reporting. But as I understand it, he's already had aspects of the legal process have already advanced. And I think his trial is due to start in May. He stands accused of operating what's been called by AP, an empire of sex crimes, sex and human trafficking. A lot of similarities in the charges in some ways to the Epstein and also Ghislaine Maxwell cases. But what's interesting, though, is that, whereas with Epstein and Maxwell, it was sort of the FBI and SDNY leading, the Diddy case has had a lot of involvement from the Department of Homeland Security, which is kind of unusual, it seems.
Yeah, that is unusual. That's what nobody understood. The raids were done by the... This is what I'm saying. Everything is backwards here. Anyway.
Seriously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was interesting also as a native New Yorker, it was interesting to hear about the different places he had gone to school and lived and moved. And then we'll get it when we talk about Epstein. I don't know if you know what high school I went to, but guess what high school I went to?
Oh, the same one as him. Or where he taught.
Yeah, exactly. Dalton.
He was a teacher.
That's where Bar was and everything.
Thing about Epstein.
He was a teacher as well.
People forget he was originally a teacher, and then he shot up into becoming this bag man and this wheeler dealer for finance. Yeah, really weird background.
It is weird.
So, what is this? My name is Jeff. What? So as much as that was so as the judge said, they're still pursuing things. It's not final. It could be the case that Diddy is still potentially pursued for trafficking and stuff. It's just that currently he's been acquitted for the most serious crimes, which is a joke. Obviously, all those around him who have known him for a long time, and there's many other guilty parties that have not come to light. Now they're scrambling around trying to claim defamation, like Jay-Z. So, again, everything's alleged. I don't want to get into trouble from these people, but the reality is that there's a lot of people that are, horribly connected to Diddy, and he's probably keeping a lot of names tight to his chest. But here we have it. Epstein accuser says she knew about Sean Diddy Combs' abuse. He just thought he was God.
Says it all, really. I mean,
there are connections, and we're gonna get into an article now that someone forwarded to us, which I want to read out because it just exposes the cognitive dissonance and just the ostriching of certain people who just, regardless, they will continuously put their head in the sand, and they just cannot accept certain things because it's just too outrageous. Well, we'll get to that article in a second because, moving into Epstein, another shocker, which nobody was expecting. Well, I think Whitney Webb probably was, because Whitney Webb was connecting Epstein, a lot of his financial ties,
connecting all the dots
to people like the current President Trump, amongst others, and didn't believe that anything was going to come out of it. But they did. We have that video, don't we? There we go. It's this one here. They did release recently. When was it? Was it just yesterday or today? I don't remember when. It was a day or so ago. We have the video. We'll play it. That the DOJ, the illustrious DOJ,
Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child pornography, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption.
Okay. So, no proof of an Epstein blackmail list.
Okay, they don't need to show those bits, but like there's a list out there of...
So there's no blackmail list, there's no client list. That's what the DOJ has put forward. And they find no evidence of a massive network or that he committed or that he unalived himself.
Hang on a second. Like for so long, there was this list. Like everybody and their granny knew there was a list. There was a list. There's
no list apparently.
There's
no list, especially because Ghislaine Maxwell actually even testified that there was a list. And we have proof that this has been already mentioned in the past. But anyway, DOJ, illustrious DOJ, who have never been wrong, by the way, who have always been the fount of justice. Okay, the biggest. The two words that I would say, if there are two words in any modern vernacular that are always contradictory, it's when you put the term department with anything else, because they run counter. Department of Education means no education. Department of Justice, no justice. Any department,
because it's like some small the back office, like a closet with like a broom closet.
It's just bureaucratic bullshit.
Like a tiny part of that thing.
In my opinion, Department of Justice, bullshit. Ain't no justice. I'm sorry. That's just a joke. How you have a Department of Justice? Anyway. Oh, there goes the FBI. Oh, and of course,
the U.S. Department of Justice and the FBI, under President Donald Trump, say they found no evidence that Jeffrey Epstein maintained a so-called client list to blackmail powerful individuals. According to a memo, authorities concluded that Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide, rejecting widespread murder theories. In response, the Trump administration...
Now it's murder theories because, they're being nice, right? They don't want to use the C word. Obviously,
the fact that they're saying that this list doesn't exist kind of makes everyone feel
they've been cheated.
Like there's like a Mandela effect going on, that we're living in another
world. To be honest,
this
is not shocking because this is also the fact is that I kind of brought this up in Trump's second run, where I understood how people all wanted him to win because it was either him or Kamala and whatever, and they just saw him as the better version, or back when it was Biden, whatever. The trouble was, in my view, he was already compromised. So it made no difference who you got in. They're all compromised. And so the reality is that his selection of certain people already, in the beginning, there were some people who were like, oh, great. But already from some of the first choices he had, it was already ringing alarm bells with a few people like Ron Paul, Whitney Webb, Glenn Greenwald, another journalist.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, the current FBI director is actually Kash Patel, who previous to this, he was always barking on about how, oh, he's going to release everything. He's going to make everything transparent. He's going to go into the FBI. He's going to clean house. He's going to expose everything. Yeah, well, doesn't look like he really did that, because now they're blocking, supposedly because it's sensitive because of the, you know, the pornographic nature of the imagery and stuff. So, yeah. Carry on.
Administration plans to release video footage, both raw and enhanced, which it claims shows no one entered Epstein's Manhattan prison area the night he died in 2019. Officials say the video evidence backs the medical examiner's ruling that Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide. According to the memo, investigators closely reviewed footage from Epstein's Manhattan prison cell starting around 10:40 p.m. on August 9th, 2019, when he was last locked inside. He was found unresponsive the next morning at around 6:30 a.m., another controversial point in the memo. The DOJ and FBI say no further disclosure of Epstein-related material is appropriate or warranted. They argue much.
Yeah, okay, can I just say something as well? They said, like, the thing about they're going to release some footage now that shows nobody. Okay, how convenient now that Google's VO is so good that it's confused people that it's cinematic, because that's what people haven't forgotten yet. You think these assholes behind the curtain aren't also using the same tools to manipulate? Because they will. And like, I'm not saying that that's what the case, but it doesn't matter even if nobody walked into the cell. You could have had someone in there already, not into the cell, sorry, but someone already stationed, you know? But yeah. Yeah, this is all very disappointing. Okay, and it's just this, it's not surprising. I don't know what people are expecting. You know, you're getting the same people, and you're never gonna, like, guys. Trump gets in, JFK files come out, UFO files. I've been saying this as well. Like, oh yeah, the UFO, everything is going to be really. No, it won't, because you got liars in charge. Doesn't matter. They're all liars. There's a massive thing, and as we're going to expose, there are some people who are unfortunately so ignorant they actually believe what is peddled to them by the people who continuously lie to them and perpetuate fraud. And
can I just share something before we get into
go ahead, because
into the actual reality of this is that it's like they're taking the piss out of everything, you know, on this case, and everybody realizes it.
I mean, how long has it been?
Nothing is being done.
How long has it been now? How long? Like, since
it's
forever. And this is my point. You remember, like, for a certain amount of time, people were questioning, and they kept like memeing and trending the thing on X about like he did not kill himself. He did not kill him, because there was just nothing coming out about it. And that's the thing. The longer you let the thing go, the less substance it will have, because people just forget, and they
exactly.
I mean, look at.
To be honest.
Yeah, go on.
To be honest, I think the only reason why this has come out again is because of the Diddy thing, and because of Elon Musk having a feud with Trump, and
exactly. I mean, they kept teasing people, saying, "Oh yeah, it's going to come out. It's going to come out. It's going to be exposed." Nothing ever came out, and now they come out with this nothing burger, and they expect the people to swallow it, and nobody's swallowing it. This is an obvious cover-up. For anybody who hasn't seen cover-ups in the past, this is an obvious cover-up. This is the biggest joke ever. And I know there's going to be people say, like, how do you know it's a cover-up? How is this? And it's like, well, we have receipts to expose certain things. This is not just hot air. We have things that maybe, because unlike many people, we do remember certain things from experts who mention certain things. And that's what they wait for. You know, it's like COVID, the lockdowns. They wait a long time, and then they say, oh, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It was terrible. And yes, it was that bad. they just want us to forget. And that's the thing. So now we're going to go through it and bring it up. So, yeah.
Give me a sec. I need to refresh.
Yeah, I'm going to maybe let's go through the article here. Hold on a second. Edge is refreshing. Meanwhile, we're going to go through an article that was recently posted. Yes, we know that Edge was out of sync. I'm going to share it here in just a moment. Hold on a second. Where's Edge? You back, Edge? Welcome back. You were a bit out of sync, I guess. So I was just going to share.
I was told by one of the viewers that I was out of sync. Hopefully it's fixed now.
It's fixed. Well, you weren't for me, but I guess good thing that we were told. Maybe we should go
play that short clip.
Yeah, go ahead, and then we can go through this article, and then from that article we can play out on all this stuff, right? So we can. Yeah.
Okay.
Free Epstein client list. The Justice Department, the FBI now saying the client list doesn't exist.
The DOJ says it will not be releasing any more material from the case files.
What? That's it? You're just not gonna release any more information? I've never been ghosted by a conspiracy before. I mean, this is crazy. I could have sworn that someone said there was an Epstein client list. Who was that?
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Look who it is. It's the Attorney General herself.
The United States said the client list was on her desk. Yes, your desk also hung itself?
And now it doesn't exist.
It's such BS. And on top of that, there was the black book, right? The diary. Nothing's come out of that. They haven't said anything. What is that? There were all the notes in there, all the numbers, you know. Anyway, let's go through this article that we were forwarded, by the way, because I think this is a spectacular article, which emphasizes this point of like what they, the establishment, want you to believe, because this is such a fluff piece.
Oh dear!
That the moment we were forwarded this, I couldn't believe my eyes. That someone who wrote this, who's by the way the chief political writer of this editorial, it's called Spiked. The editorial. It's known to be libertarian, though I would question that. Does lean on the right, just so you know. But here we go. This is written by Brendan O'Neill, who I'm calling out, who's a complete turkey. Doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Let's take it apart.
Yeah.
He's the chief
political writer. The doom-scrolling community is not happy. From basement bedrooms across the US comes the muffled sound of huffing and puffing. Reddit is ablaze with the anger of digital hysterics who haven't seen sunlight in months. Why? The Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy theory, that all-purpose fact-light morality tale about our decadent venal elites, is falling apart. What will the Epstein heads do now? Really nice way to put it, Mr. O'Neill. But we'll get to that. We'll just carry on and showcase his amazing assessment on this and analysis. No sooner had the U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ, and the FBI poked a very large hole in the Epstein story than the internet was consumed by fury and moaning. These officials have concluded that Epstein did not, in fact, have a client list implicating politicians, businessmen, and celebs in a vast Caligulan regime of sordid sex parties. And nor was he bumped off by some nefarious actor, Hillary Clinton, people say, while awaiting trial for sex trafficking at a correctional facility in New York. No, he really did kill himself. That's obviously being sarcastic. And just like that, the two pillars of this crazed fable have fallen down. For years, the internet buzzed with whispers about a list showing that everyone from Bill Clinton to Wacko Jacko to poor old Stephen Hawking partook of criminal debauchery on Jeffrey Epstein's private island. Pedo Island, people called it. When we see this list, this holy grail of establishment depravity, we will at last know the truth of the demonic forces that govern us, cried oddballs online. But there is no list. It was a figment of childish, unripened minds that can only conceive of power as something shady and sinister. And there was the Epstein didn't kill himself cry. There was a time when you couldn't browse the web without encountering some mad sleuth insisting that someone snuck into Epstein's cell and killed him. Why? To hide the list, to kill the truth, to protect the rulers of society from what Epstein knew, that they're all pedos. Yet it turns out the murder tale is bullshit too. Investigators have now released hyper-clarified footage of the area around Epstein's cell between 10:40 p.m. on 9th August 2019 and 6:30 a.m. the next day, when he was found unresponsive. And guess what? No one enters. Well, whoop-de-doo. The medical examiner was right all along. Epstein died by his own hand. Now, this carries on. I can't be asked. This guy's essentially full of bullshit because, as we just showcased, Pam Bondi herself, the Attorney General, just said that the client list was on her desk. So, yes, there was a client list. We're not dumb.
It existed.
Not only her, Maxwell Ghislaine stated there was a client list, and she would give the names.
Let me just say that this article that he wrote is like very satirical and like mocking in a way, and a bit but like if any word would characterize what he just said here, was he completely dismissed anything about it.
Everything.
And it's like it's like all these fucking politicians and everybody in the mainstream media, they're all dismissing this. Like the only people who want like answers is like the everyday Joe, the actual people who are like looking a little bit further into this. It's not, it's not as simple as it seems. And also like a lot of news like recently in the last couple of days have been reporting that there's like a minute missing in the footage of the video.
But all of a sudden now they have
the time like he hanged himself.
But now they have hyper clear footage. All of a sudden, when the cameras weren't working and it was a minute footage missing too, and all of that shenanigans, now they have hyper clarified footage. Give me a break. I wasn't born yesterday, And also this author, he's correlating the fact that he unalived himself on the basis that he was trying to hide the client list. No, he didn't unalive himself. He was murdered. Why was he murdered? Because here, newsflash, because we have historical and recorded cases of this too. This is exactly like with Diddy. This guy knew people. He was connected to people. If he talked, nobody heard a damn thing from Epstein the moment he was detained. All right? We don't even know if his lawyer heard anything. Hell, his own brother didn't even hear a thing. And guess what? His brother doesn't buy any of this shit. His brother doesn't buy any of it. That's his own flesh and blood. And if he talked, that's why they don't want him to talk. He talked. He lets out one name, one thing. The whole castle of cards comes crumbling down, because for a fact that yes, there are elite networks. There are elite people, from businessmen to politicians, connected to this. And we have the receipts because obviously historically there have been a number of cases. But let's first unpack the so-called fact that he did this to himself, right? With a few shreds of orange fabric from his what was it, his prison overalls or whatever, tying it to the bedpost and then to the bars, because actually we have the video too, but the video is super long. What we have here is actually there was actually a renowned this is the cause of death. This is what they said. Many say he was murdered by a well-known. Well, okay. Now, there is one thing I will say. I don't think Hillary Clinton did it. Obviously, that's just stupid.
Yeah,
that's just like people like trying to jump to conclusions and associating it to the the Clinton kill list
to what they want.
Right. But the point is, like, it is obviously more than clear that he was moved already from one cell because his life was threatened. All right, and then all of a sudden he was put on suicide watch, which was bizarre.
I think they also removed his cellmate, but we don't know.
Yeah, who also thought things were getting a bit weird too, according to some testimony from him. But we do have, I think, where is it? If you scroll down to the evidence, renowned forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Baden has stated previously that Jeffrey Epstein's injuries were consistent with homicide. And this is from the Law and Crime Network.
Yeah.
Do you see it?
I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah. So this is a renowned forensic pathologist. This isn't just some like hobby forensic pathologist or someone who watches true crime. This is a guy who's worked for almost a lifetime. He's well regarded, well respected. So I find it curious. No, this wasn't it. It's an actual video. I'll send it to you. Hold on.
Okay.
I'll send it to you. Here you go. And there's another video of him further later on emphasizing this point on new evidence.
Well, welcome back to the Law and Crime Network. I'm Linda Kenny Baden, and I am joined today by my very special guest. He's also a Fox News contributor, my husband, Dr. Michael Baden. Hi, honey.
Hello.
I'd lean over to kiss you, but I think I may violate some kind of sexual harassment rules or something. And of course, the major investigative reporter for this network, chief investigative reporter. He's also chief legal. He's everything you can imagine.
I like this panel.
And also a wonderful person to learn from, Brian Ross. Hi, Brian. How are you? Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for asking me.
Thank you. So, Michael, you had an explosive interview this morning on Fox and Friends where you revealed what your findings were about Jeffrey Epstein, whether it was a homicide or a suicide, or whether it was consistent with a homicide or consistent with a suicide. I just want to tell you, without you explaining, it was a more consistent with a homicide, Jeffrey Epstein's death.
More consistent, as from the information we now have, as a homicide.
And indeed, one of the things you're showing us, and has never been seen before, is a diagram and a picture from the autopsy report, which we have actually here on the screen.
Like
the red arrows were added by me, right? By the way. That was not the original. But it shows the fractures, the 3 fractures you discussed, 1 in the hyoid bone and 2 in the thyroid cartilage, if I get that right. And there you can see them. Look at them and that's actually Jeffrey Epstein's hyoid bone on the right side of your screen, and the diagram of where the 3 fractures were on the left side of your screen. Could you show on Brian exactly where those are?
Yeah, the hyoid, the thyroid cartilage is the Adam's apple, and it sticks out more prominently in men. My finger's on Brian's Adam's apple. On either side of that are the 2 horns of the thyroid cartilage that were fractured, and above it, which you can't see or feel usually, is the horseshoe-shaped hyoid bone. There was a fracture of the left side of the hyoid bone and the left horn of the thyroid cartilage, and also the right horn of the thyroid cartilage. This usually does not happen in suicidal hangings because the ligature goes upwards underneath the mandible, the jawbone, which is the very tough bone, the jawbone, and doesn't fracture. And the ligature is often above the hyoid bone and the thyroid cartilage. In manual strangulation or ligature strangulation, when the rope is in the area of the thyroid Adam's apple, fractures can occur.
Okay, Michael, let me just stop you for a second, because I know that's a lot for us to take.
It's confusing, but still, it does make sense.
Yeah.
What he's trying to say is it doesn't fracture necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy has experience. I mean...
And he presents even new evidence in relation to new evidence where he, that's the second one here. There was like new evidence that came to light. So this is after this appearance that he had, where he talks about more in relation to new evidence, in relation to the forensic aspect.
It has been more than 5 months since Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his jail cell here in New York, and still many questions left unanswered. Famed pathologist Dr. Michael Baden, who was hired by Epstein's family to look into the autopsy, is revealing new details from the investigation and the examination, and he joins us live. Dr. Baden, good morning to you. You say that the answer to whether or not he killed himself could be in his eyes. Explain that.
That helps. That is, with hanging, when the loop comes up under the windpipe, under the mandible, there usually is not any kind of hemorrhages in the eye. With homicidal strangulation, because of the increased pressure, there are hemorrhages in the eye.
And when you examined the body, there were burst capillaries.
There were burst capillaries in the eyes called petechiae, and that's not conclusive, but that's greater evidence of homicide than suicide.
When you hang yourself, what about your lower extremities?
When you hang yourself, the blood, the lividity, the blood settles down to the lower legs, and you get maroon discoloration in the front and back of the legs.
Turns purple.
Turns maroonish purple.
Okay.
Yes, maroonish purple.
And
this was not present here.
What color were they?
They were normal color, normal pale color of the skin.
Hanging.
You know, people.
I mean, it
listen
wasn't
to
a
this,
hanging
they go,
anyway.
"See, I told."
It was the most weird hanging in the world of hanging. Like, it's putting yourself in some bizarre like holster and then like pulling, like that in itself should indicate how ludicrous this is. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. Like the whole scenario of how he did it, it doesn't even make sense to me. How would you even like you tie the thing there and then you're pulling yourself? Like, what are you trying to do? Like straighten your neck? Like, I'm sorry, it just doesn't make any sense. And then here's the thing, because people love like making these claims of like, oh, conspiracy theorists, which by the way, the CIA developed that term when people were questioning the JFK assassination, which we all know was, of course, involved by themselves to just defame and debunk anybody who had questions. But I call coincidence theorists people who believe that all these really well-timed coincidences, the cameras shut off just on time. He figured out some bizarro way of doing this to somehow hang himself. On top of the fact that the two guards were sleeping or not there, and everything was so convenient. So I'm sorry, that's a coincidence theorist to me. That means that you're just going to buy all of these so-called coincidences, which is not probable. It's not even mathematically probable. I mean, let's be honest. What are we covering now? We need to take we need to go, I think, for a break in a bit. But we'll go in the next 15 minutes and we'll carry on with this topic. But yeah, there's so much more actually to cover with this because actually, there you go.
There's a lot more on this.
Yeah, the protocol of the failures, like why. So the fracture interpretation, which we just heard from Dr. Michael Baden, renowned forensic pathologist. The fractures are more frequent are in strangulations. The protocol failures, cameras malfunctioning, guards falling asleep. The so-called suicide watch ended, and the cellmate was conveniently removed. Perfect storm for screw-ups. This is just like the JFK assassination. The car moved, it didn't go down the correct turning that it should have. It went down a different turning.
There was no cover. Convertible.
Yes, there was less Secret Service than there should have been. They weren't checking the book repository and all that.
They didn't check the buildings beforehand.
All convenient for a perfect storm, and we're supposed to believe that. Come on, give me a break. Give me a break.
There was one guy who was set up, which was ready to take the fall.
Of course, because he had previously spent time in the Soviet Union. Let's not forget that, and he was an asset who was actually working for the CIA and military intelligence at the time. But anyway, we're talking about Lee Harvey Oswald. But so that's why the debate persists. However, going back to that spiked article to whatchamacallit, Brendan O'Neill, He makes the correlation, obviously, that he did this because he was trying to hide the list. No, that doesn't even make sense. Why would he do that to hide the list? No, it was done to him so he wouldn't talk or rat out or say anything. Because that's the thing. And this is not the first time this has happened, because guess why? This is giving me flashbacks to another massive case of trafficking network and, the big P word, which happened in Belgium, which was the Marc Dutroux scandal. Oh, many people don't remember that. But that was one of the biggest scandals in relation to this back in the 90s, which also, by the way, that trial, it kept going on and on and on. They kept delaying and delaying up until the 2000s. I think he was then properly convicted. But Dutroux said multiple times he wasn't even the guy. He was just a bagman. And the other guy called Nihul, who was this bigger character, well-connected. Well, Dutroux kept saying there's all these other people. I can give you the names of the elites, and it involves the royalty and all this, and businessmen and international characters. The judge was, at the time, interested to listen. The two private investigators who had found the girls that were the most recent ones that had been kidnapped by him and were missing, they were interested in hearing other stories relating to this because many other victims came forward, the ones who survived previously. And we're talking about this network in Belgium.
Yeah.
And conveniently, what happens? Well, what did they do? The judge, Jean-Marc Connerot, he was removed from the case for attending a charity dinner for the victims' families because they said it was a perceived conflict of interest, basically for having a plate of spaghetti and also giving a gift of I don't know what the hell he gave it. This was called it was a big fiasco because people could not believe that this judge who was so good, they had removed him from this case. And they put another judge who, by the way, was complicit with a lot of the unsavory characters that Dutroux and other victims had pointed out. What shock horror. The other investigators of that I mentioned, who was Michel Bourlet, the public prosecutor, he was removed from his post. And what happened is later on, these the investigators who were taking in all this information from other victims, who at the time were not giving they weren't making the names public, except for one who was called Regina Louf. They decided then to publish it all in a book called Dossier X, which I would recommend everybody to go into. You want to look at that? That will expose the whole thing, and it's dark and nasty. But what happened in the end is they pinned it all on Dutroux, who was just the bagman. Okay, nasty piece of work that he was. He was just the underling bagman, and on his wife, and on also his friend. Nihul got scot-free. That guy was the more important guy, connected to the media, and nothing came about it. And there was a massive protest. It was the biggest protest in Belgium ever. It was called the White Protest because everybody wore white shirts and everything, and everyone was sickened by it. And to this day, no justice for all those children, all those victims, all the things that are still being perpetuated by that trafficking, because the trafficking still goes on. So yeah, they covered it up, and it was the biggest shit show because actually the police were involved. Hell, everybody, even a lot of the prosecution and defense were involved. So yeah, this does happen. So that was what I remember just when I heard this. And so when I read this article where the guy says, well, oh no, of course it's, should just believe what the DOJ says. It's not like the DOJ hasn't messed up as well, right? In the past. Because actually, the DOJ have messed up. If anybody remembers the handling of the Russia investigation or Crossfire Hurricane, that was a mess up they did. And that was back in the time of the 2019, when they identified 17 significant errors in FISA warrant applications, including omissions of exculpatory evidence, by the way. This was under Comey. That's another guy. Just because we have Pam Bondi, who was appointed because of Trump, doesn't mean that this is any better. This is the problem that people forget. And we can go on and on because the DOJ isn't innocent. They've had a lot of problems. Like I can name them all. There's also been how it was later revealed. There was the Ted Stevens prosecution in 2008, where the DOJ prosecutors withheld exculpatory evidence again, which is what they're kind of doing now. But they're claiming, oh, it's too graphic, right? The Ruby Ridge siege of 1992. That was a nice shit show. I'm sure people remember that. The fatal standoff at Ruby Ridge. Yeah, well, federal agents shot and killed Weaver's wife and son when they didn't have to. The whole thing was all heavy-handed. Another case, the Wen Ho Lee case, 1999 to 2000. Again, the DOJ, they messed up a Los Alamos scientist who was accused of espionage for China. I mean, we can go on and on here. Fast and Furious operation, that's a very famous one. DOJ and ATF allowed illegal gun sales in the US, hoping to trace them to Mexican drug cartels. Yeah, that was exposed later on. That was under actually Obama's presidency. Michael Flynn's case, the 2020 controversy, again, I mean, we can go on and on and on here. It's like the DOJ has a key pattern of mishandling things and not being fully transparent. So I'm not really surprised that they're going to come out with this type of thing and make the claim that, oh, there's nothing to see here, folks. There's nothing to see here. There's no client list. At the same time as the Attorney General stated already that it was on her desk. So, yeah.
That's basically the DOJ, Department of Justice, like fucking up on different accounts.
In almost every case. Yeah, we can unpack all of it, but yeah, it's just that you're not going to get any truth in this. You're not going to, but I can tell you that the truth is actually more obvious than not. And the reality is, we know that he was connected to all these people. And actually, as Whitney Webb presents, that what seems to be the main thing that's being covered up here, it's not even so much the heinous, sex crimes, which is obviously one horrible thing, and the trafficking, because that was all connected to the blackmailing. But what Whitney Webb is actually presenting is that it's the financial ties, the financial criminality connecting Epstein and to all of these other actors. And by that, I mean characters, well known, okay? Because that comes out, it's a big deal, right? Unfortunately, it seems to be more of a big deal than people's lives. But it's about the money. And so that's the big thing, right? Because then that will basically convict a lot of other people, and they don't want their names to come out, and that's the problem. So I think with that, maybe we take a small break and come back to this.
Yeah, I can do.
This is a bit of a cluster,
basically I just want to sum it up. So like on the one hand, we have the Epstein case, where they've said that they don't have a list of like people who attended Epstein's Island. On the other hand, they used to say they had it. On the other hand, we have the Department of Justice, who's not really doing anything, and then who have a track record of screwing up on a lot of different important cases. And so when we come back, we can also like briefly mention James Comey.
Yeah, James Comey and Bill Barr, they were the FBI directors. Currently, we have Kash Patel, the so-called self-professed, I'm going to make everything transparent. Yeah, great job, Kash. Yeah, and the funny thing is now the MAGA base, right? This is also why I got annoyed, because this is the problem with MAGA. It's not only the problem with MAGA, it's the problem with any sort of cult-like, mindset. If you're just like, yeah, we got it. No, you don't got it. The system always got it.
You don't got it. You never had it.
Like, you're not, guys. They're not going to reveal they're not going to reveal the UFO files. These stupid congressional hearings, by the way, about UFOs and stuff, is a bunch of nothing burger. You got people like Luis Elizondo, who I've already stated in the last, I think it was in the last stream. That guy is he's co-opted. He's completely involved. Here's the thing: you work for intelligence in any capacity, military, in the intelligence agency. And if you leave it, you never leave it. You either retire, that means you're still an asset, or they retire you, if you know what I mean. Or you go off the radar. That means you become persona non grata, okay? Which some people do. But if you start doing, what do you got? World tours or tours, right? Online, talking about
like speeches and stuff.
CIA tactics. And by the way, this and that and the other. Guess what? It's a bunch of hooey. It's a bunch of bull. You ain't fooling nobody. This is what Greer says. You ain't fooling nobody. You ain't fooling me, because I've seen it way too many times.
Greer and also like ex-MOD, like Nick Pope and stuff like that.
Remember, for all of this, we can get into that, the story about that. But
maybe we'll save it
for all you want to criticize Reagan, and you can criticize Reagan for a lot of things. There is one thing though that he said that is very, very true.
One thing about if we were visited by,
if someone, it's like there's that saying, like he said, what did he say? We have even a video about it.
I'll find it.
I want to get it perfectly here. Which is basically, I found the most 9 terrifying words in the English language here. Oh no, it's a Facebook video. Can you play that? Is it okay? Facebook video? I found it here.
Let me have a look.
It's the 9 most terrifying words in the English language. And what he said is so true, because when you apply that to what I just said earlier about, I previously worked for military intelligence. I previously worked for counterintelligence. I previously worked for... There you go.
Let's play this.
Yeah.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
There you go.
I think you all know that.
There you go. So Luis Elizondo and all these other guys who are, Peter Mellon as well, I'm sorry to say, all these guys who are from the government and they're here to help, they're not. They're here to distract, to deflect, to do their job, because their job is always that. And this is the problem. And so I don't buy nothing. Kash Patel, he already was an asset provor. We also have a litany of a list of things that guy, isn't kosher about, okay? Which we can get into after the break. But, none of these people, they're not legit. They're not legit. That's the thing. They're not going to tell you the truth.
Obviously, they wouldn't.
Don't expect the truth from the government. The moment the governments were starting to all, piggyback on this whole UAP, UFO, the first sign, I know this is a bit of a tangent now because we're talking about UAPs, right? But the first issue I had is when they changed UFO to UAP, because I was like, why? Why? This is called, believe it or not.
It's always like changing the narrative. I mean, like from global warming, then they went to climate change.
Right.
They realized it's not hot everywhere. Yeah. Some places are cooling, so they couldn't stick with that. It's like the church was saying, you know what? There might be some aliens out there. We're not completely dismissing it, because if they did appear, then they would go out of business.
Yeah, exactly. They do this because they're rewriting, as you said, like they're changing the narrative. And so then you forget, because the new generations they only know about UAPs, and UFOs is like some distant, archaic, silly thing. UFO, Loch Ness monster type. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's how they do it. It's called compartmentalization of memory. That's what they try to do. Long-term memory. That's what they try to do. It's a tactic. And anyway.
And on that.
I think I was going to say something else, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But we'll get back to it afterwards.
Just remember that NTV is on YouTube, Rumble, and Kick, and our socials are on Instagram, X, and Discord. And we'll be right back after the break. It's going to be about
a couple of minutes,
just over 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah, we'll be right back. Stay tuned. And we're back from the break. Hang on, just waiting for Berd. Hope everyone is okay. We still have a lot to talk about. We're gonna jump and start with Epstein. Just give us a few moments.
Oh, I'm back. Hey, sorry.
Did you have a good break?
Yeah.
All good.
We get some air.
Well, to be honest, I think we both needed it after this whole Epstein thing. And yeah, all right, before we jump back in, I just want to remind everyone that we're simultaneously streaming on YouTube, Rumble, Kick. We're on Instagram, we're on X, and we're on Discord. Join us over there. We have a great community going on. Also, remember to follow, like, share, comment, do all that stuff. It's we want you engaged, like in the community. We want to get this show on the road.
Exactly. Yeah, and one thing I want to say, because it came to my mind, and I was kind of like, I lost it because I got into a whole fugue state here. But let me tell you something.
Twilight Zone. It's
yeah.
like the top.
There you go.
Just go and get out.
Here's the thing, folks. This is a part of the reason why we even started this whole brand in the first place. There's a reason it's called ENDtv, even though it's an acronym for Every New Day. Because every new day, there is an end, etc., etc., etc. But the truth of the matter is that we represent those people who are frustrated and fed up, because guess what? We've just been spoon-fed lies and fraud for decades. And
from the mainstream media.
This is even from the times,
politics, like all this bullshit.
This goes even back to the times of your parents and your grandparents. Okay, they lied to you about World War II. They lied to you about Vietnam. They lied to you about the Cold War. They lied to you about everything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what story you're going to take. And I'm not telling you now that specific events did not occur. Obviously they did. That's not the point. But they're going to lie to you all the time. Because the whole purpose of all of this, and that's the reason, is that they don't want the masses of people. They don't want society to think for themselves. They don't want people to decide for themselves. They want to control you. And it doesn't matter if you're in the West, in the democracy West, or if you're in the East, which is more, which they, our side claim is more authoritarian or more, monocultural or whatever, It doesn't matter. Everybody, they don't care. Like George Carlin said, there's a big club and you ain't in it.
You ain't in it.
You ain't in it. You, me, everybody. We ain't in it.
Can I share a short clip?
Yeah, show them the clip.
Everybody complains about politicians. Everybody says they suck. Yeah! Well, where do people think these politicians come from? They don't fall out of the sky. They don't pass through a membrane from another reality.
True.
They come from American parents and American families, American homes, American schools, American churches, American businesses, and American universities.
American, but
and they're elected by American citizens. This is the best we can do, folks. This is what we have to offer. It's what our system produces. Garbage in, garbage out.
There you go. And nothing ever changes. Nothing will change. Because as you see, we still get wars, we still get conflict, we still get the filibustering,
the inflation.
Same.
Don't get enough healthcare, unemployment. Like nothing is being done. Like you would
the vulnerable aren't being taken care of. Yeah.
You would think You would think like the most basic things would be like sorted. Where like 8 billion people on the planet. Like, come on, solve housing, solve heating, solve food, solve malaria, for God's sake. There's a cure out there. Make it cheap. Fucking like vaccine or something. Like, are you serious? Like, we're talking like millions of people are dying every year from malaria. I'm not hearing fucking mosquitoes because it's summer, and like it's driving me nuts. But like people are dying out there. Yeah. And I'm thinking, we're not talking about these things.
No, we're not, because they don't care. And by they, I mean the people that we elect supposedly as our leaders, They don't care. They don't care because they don't know you, and they don't live in the same. They're not breathing the same air you are. They're not even
like on a different plane of existence.
And you know, we're in a cult-like mentality because everybody is just following the leader, you know, like the playground game.
Yeah.
And nobody's really like checking themselves and realizing that, you know what, we're just basically lemmings, you know, following the path towards the cliff edge to jump off. And nothing ever changes because of that. You know, nothing will change. In this day and age, you have to wonder, why are we still having wars?
Wait. Stop. Can you refresh? You're out of sync.
Yeah.
I heard the want sound. Great. So we have a lot more to talk about regarding Epstein, and hopefully we'll cover some other things right after. So yeah, we're just waiting for Berd to come back, and we can just.
Why is it that camera?
Oh, it's a different camera. Change it.
Yeah, I did.
Click the camera.
What the hell's going on? Hold on, I'll sort that out.
You got it.
Wait. There we go.
There you are. And you're back. Say something.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, you're fine.
So yeah, nothing ever changes because of that, and you know that's why I've grown weary, as Edge has. Most of us, that's what we represent, the weary. The people are fed up because there is no justice ultimately. And sometimes there will be these short little bursts of justice, but it doesn't really mean much because in the greater scheme of things, unfortunately, there's these bigger things, right? For these bigger scandals, and they're never exposed. And we never learn about it. And they try to keep all this other stuff hidden away from us. They don't want to tell us anything. You know, every year people keep thinking, oh, they're going to release, we're finally going to find out who assassinated JFK, or we're finally going to find out about the UFOs and the UAPs, or we're finally going to find out about the client list of the Epstein, and finally everyone's going to get their, you know, comeuppance, right? No, it won't happen.
About the West, you're talking about the developed world. What about other countries where there's a complete media blackout?
Oh yeah,
and you think, you know, some countries have like billions of people, and there's like no news coming out of these countries.
Yeah.
Like, okay, occasionally maybe like a war starting here and there, like with another country, but within that country you don't really hear anything. And I always question myself, what do they hear? Do they hear stuff about us?
No, they're also like,
who knows what they hear?
They're funneled, they're a narrative driven pieces as well, you know, like they're also just like, you know, they're informed like how we're the bad guys, and we're told they're the bad guys, and at the end of the day, the citizens are not the bad guys. It's the people on top who are the bad guys. That's the reality. Because the people on top ultimately are the ones who govern everything. They're meeting behind closed doors. They're going to the Bilderberg meetings. They're doing all this stuff. And this is not conspiracy. This is just plain old fact.
This is fact.
I mean, you learn this in history, for Christ's sake. You learn about the nobility classes. Well, guess what? It still exists today. The nobility class it's just changed, okay? They're not wearing pompadour wigs and having beauty marks and white face, you know, powdered white faces and doing things like this, but they still exist. The nobility class just changed. It just shifted. Still existing in this type of environment, and nothing ever shifts. In fact, what's interesting is that all of this occurred, you know, ironically, you brought it up when Elon Musk tweeted. We have the tweet. I think it's in our docket. I saved it because he deleted it. But when he tweeted, you know, after the feud with Trump and said like, well, the reason they haven't come out with the Epstein list is because Trump's in those Epstein files, right? Well, then lo and behold, what happens is not too long after, now they're telling us like, no, there's nothing to see here. There's no list. There's no nothing, right? And the funny thing about Musk is that he's tweeted out a couple of times as well. Again, I'll tell you where it is.
Let me get it. Just give me a sec.
Hold on.
You just wanted his tweet.
A couple of times. He's also tweeted recently regarding this, you know, scenario, this situation. But what's interesting is that even Musk himself is not innocent, because even Whitney Webb. Now, again, This is what Whitney Webb's uncovered from her investigative journalism.
Yeah.
Has stated that he is even interconnected with these things. So, you know, the problem is I kind of believe it. I believe that they're not all, no one is innocent in this case. They all have their hands dirty to some capacity. So it makes it really hard to believe, you know, who to believe, for instance. It's this one, yeah. That was the original post.
Yeah, I can't share it.
Let me see if I can do it. Hold on. Let me see if I can do it. There we go. So you can see that. That was the original one.
Yeah.
Maybe I zoom in. Yeah. That was the original. Time to drop the really big
He deleted
bomb.
that afterwards?
Yeah, he deleted it, and you can't find it now. But what's interesting is, yeah, so he says, Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Now you have to wonder, like, okay, he could be trolling, but the reality is, like, why would he say that? Like, I mean, that's like pushing it, right? And then recently you can see, where is it?
I don't think he would say it if it wasn't true. I mean, he is a bit like quite a character.
Yeah.
But he does have quite a lot of like influence because of eggs and because of being so rich as well.
I'm trying to find these other tweets recent, or if you go to his
it's weird
Twitter.
how he brought it up. Is he just like bitter, like against Trump because of the big beautiful bill which supposedly protects like billionaires and stuff?
Here you go. This was also his recent thing because he calls DOJ findings there was no Epstein client list the final straw. So then you have to also wonder, you know, who's really on our side, because you sometimes get these characters who show up, like Musk. It doesn't exist. That's weird. Hold on, let me see if it works for me.
Yeah, you showed me a link that says it doesn't exist.
It works for me. I'll just share it. Hold on.
Okay. How bizarre.
How bizarre. How bizarre. So by the way, this was the video. Let's play this. Hold on. I don't know if you can hear it. Wait, can you hear this?
Thank you very much. Very nice.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes. We're going to have a little discussion now, very private. And I just want to thank you all for being here. And thank you very much, media. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Private, the whole world's watching. You know.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me go back. Wait.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Nothing. They just ignore it. All right, there you go. So there's
According
nothing.
to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News. Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she
That
was
was
saying
said.
the entirety of all of the paperwork,
She's
all of the paper in relation
laughing
to
at this
Jeffrey
situation.
Epstein's crimes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Wait. So
good.
she's saying the entirety of everything is on her desk. It's not just the list.
So she has like the whole world on her desk.
Yeah. All right. That's like okay. All right. Again, you got to be born yesterday.
Plus the smirk on her.
Yeah. Look at it. Let's play that again.
So clear. Like the body language is just like screaming that, you know, it's, I find it's like as if she's saying, I find it funny that you're asking that because, you know, the whole situation is a crock of shit.
Yeah, look at this. Let's play it again.
Look at her mouth. Look at her mouth.
The
Like,
Attorney General said
she can't
she had
lie.
on her
Look at her.
desk.
Well,
She's
I
like
think
holding
if you
it.
go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox
I've
News.
got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really
Look at
happen?
her mouth. Look.
And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation.
Okay, so here we go, folks. Here we go. This is just more deflection and babbling about stuff that we like. Yeah, no shit. I don't, as if I didn't know what the FBI does. You're just like parroting bullshit that we know. And then before that, it's like you're saying like one thing. I'm talking about the cookie. You're talking about the whole pack of cookies. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Like,
can I share something similar?
Yeah. Let me just quit that. Hold on.
It's almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
Also during that cabinet meeting, questions about disgraced late financier Jeffrey Epstein. The fresh scrutiny comes after a new report out of the DOJ and the FBI that found that Epstein had, quote, no client list or any evidence that he blackmailed prominent figures. Listen to the president shut down a reporter when attempting to ask Attorney General Pam Bondi about that memo.
Check out their reaction.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this.
They've been talking about him for years because that's when it happened.
Because nothing ever happened. Put it away. Yeah, because nothing ever came about of it. There was never any exposure. Well, hold on, Edge. Okay, I thought something happened. No,
okay, I just want to show over here in this video that these people are not taking the situation seriously. And instead, they're dismissing him as a bad guy and to just let it go instead of addressing the situation and investigating anything. Like this is like, don't ask anything, just go with the flow.
Exactly.
I'll continue.
We have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration.
Now, eventually, AG Bondi did answer.
I'm sorry, what? There's people who suffered under Epstein. Okay, this is like years in the making. Let's say, because there's been nothing revealed, nothing. Like, get the hell out of here.
In February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant.
So straight away they bundle it up with a JFK thing to make it a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, exactly. And also here's the thing, right? These people, all right, Trump, all of them, actually it was part of the reason Trump was elected the first round. He was elected the first round because he didn't have this. He was unfiltered. But these people
he also said that he would uncover the file.
Oh yeah, of course he said.
For the JFK
these people are all filtered. They all have script writers. They all have speech writers. They all have like a whole PR setup telling them, oh, you should, twist it this way and that. Like, come on now.
Or like
you don't think that this is like all like by design?
Like a charade.
Yeah, bro. How many people have watched what is it called, House of Cards of Kevin Spacey, or any of these TV shows where you see the inner workings?
Well, he was.
There you go.
Touching a guy or something.
There you go. But yeah, that's the problem. And this is the thing. It's always convenient. It's always now the argument is, no, I meant I had all the files on my desk, so I'm looking into it. No, it was a very direct answer. Like, here's the problem. When you're asked a direct question, give a direct answer. Stop waffling. Now you're saying that, oh no, I didn't have the client list.
To be honest, her answer, like, I'm going to tell you, the best lies are ones that are mixed with the truth.
Yeah.
You find a bit of truth here and you think straight away, oh, it's not a complete lie. So it must be the truth. It must be the other thing.
I also want to bring something up because the thing is, I recall already back in the second run of the election when Biden won against Trump, right? And he contested that election, okay? Regardless of what people's views are, and that doesn't matter. But here's the thing. There was this whole movement, which I'm sure you're familiar with, called the Q movement, okay? Now, Alex Jones, love him or hate him, was one of the few people who did come out stating the whole Q thing was baloney. This is all Cointelpro. It's all like da-da-da-da. He was like,
let me pause
saying,
you there.
don't believe it, don't believe it. Okay, yeah.
Let me pause you there. So QAnon.
Yeah,
so
explain it. Yeah, sorry.
There's a website, or there was, I'm not sure if it still exists, 4chan, whereby people can write things anonymously, as far as I know. So like whoever posts something there, they all have like pseudonyms and stuff. So people are like writing the most craziest things over there. Like it, you know, a lot is nonsense, a lot might be legit. People are like talking, but when it comes down to it, people are just writing stuff. And QAnon, as far as I'm aware, was somebody who had inside knowledge within the government. Knowledge
Q clearance, basically. That was the reason for the Q. Because when you have Q clearance, it's like above top secret type. Like you're,
Okay. I think also in Star Trek there was a character called Q who was this
he was
intelligent
this hologram.
Yeah. Conveniently, but so yeah, there was this guy who had like inside knowledge, and he was writing stuff over there.
He was
and
posting on the poll discussion board on 4chan. It was Paul. He started off there, and then they created like a separate.
Yeah, so it was pretty fascinating.
But yeah, it was Alex Jones who came out saying no, it's baloney, because there were so many MAGA people. Excuse me, hold on. Maybe I'm being drugged now.
They're shooting at they're firing their lasers like through your
No, there a lot of MAGA supporters, Trump supporters, a lot of people, they got roped into this whole thing, and they all started believing, you know, because it was this whole thing like just wait, Q, right? Whoever was Q, right? Kept just saying, kept leaving these cryptic sort of like messages and things, and talking about how you can find like the truth between the lines, and and explaining like, oh no, the justice is it's coming. Oh no, don't worry. Like the American Republic is going to be saved, and this and that, and Trump is the guy, and blah blah blah. And he kept saying this, and Alex Jones, as they said, love him or hate him, was one of the few people to call this out and say that this is all, a psyop and so on and so forth. And believe it or not, for anyone who's been following it, Q has been saying like, oh no, the big reveal is coming. The golden age, the big reveal with Epstein and everything. It's good. Yeah, it's all going to come out. I hope now this shuts them up, because this finally proves the point. It was a psyop. The whole thing, it was a total psyop. Because believe it or not, for the longest time, again, people don't recall this, but you remember Anonymous, Guy Fawkes masks and all this stuff, right? You remember them? Okay.
To be honest, at the beginning, it seemed quite different than what came out right after.
No,
like
exactly.
The way they were communicating.
They also developed out of 4chan, because this was first a movement of anonymous people who were protesting the Church of Scientology because of I think it was the mishandling of somebody who was a child.
Is it like Dan Brown, like the Da Vinci Code, like corruption stuff?
It was a legitimate thing, which was connect Church to Scientology, but it was like mishandling a person's child, who was, unfortunately, the person was part of the Church of Scientology. It came out. A lot of Anon users on 4chan grouped together to create Anonymous, which was to troll the Church of Scientology, and they went all over the place. Okay, slowly what happened was developed as a sort of vigilante online presence and things like this, but over time it got infiltrated. I'm dying. Hold on. Let me take a sip of water. Over time got infiltrated, and traded it. So 4chan,
can I pause you for a second?
Now is trolls.
Can you refresh?
What's wrong?
You're a little pixelated. Yeah, what can I say? I'm sorry. I'm sorry about this.
Is it just the pixelation or the sound, the audio?
It's also my phone that I can see that you're pixelated. I don't know about the sound yet.
Okay, because I'm not getting anything.
Yeah, I think you're out of sync. You need to fix this.
Oh Lord!
At least when we make clips later, it's gonna be in sync. Sure. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the world. Talking about like Scientology and exposing and 4chan and QAnon, and it's like, what is going on? So yeah, remember that we're live streaming on like simultaneously on YouTube, on Rumble, on Kick, and remember to give us a follow on X and Discord. Well, join us on Discord, and remember to like have a look at our Instagram.
Did they get shut down?
Hey, Berd.
Hello.
What's going on? Hey, you're back.
They don't like me. They don't like me.
They don't like what you're saying about like Epstein.
Oh
like,
man, they don't like what I'm saying at all.
They really don't like you over here and what you're saying.
I don't know.
What they're doing is they're transcribing what you're saying, and there's somebody who's pushing a button. Somebody. Well, to be honest, you're mentioning Scientology.
Everything I'm saying is satirical.
It's probably like
by
Tom Cruise. It's like Tom Cruise pressing a button, like not letting you talk.
They're the worst.
To Tom Cruise or John Travolta.
Hey, I was just
both together
giving some historical background to Anonymous.
Yeah,
I was just giving some historical background to Anonymous. A lot of people kept believing in it.
Yeah.
I hope. I don't know. I mean, it depends how long we're on stream until they shut us down. So, but I mean, if I don't die first with this cough. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so you were saying about Anonymous
put a long short.
And Scientology.
Anonymous got infiltrated, and it became different factions, and then it became overly politicized. The agents community got involved, so you know they're charading and all of this stuff. And 4chan is basically overrun by feds and glowies and trolls and also other types and hackers. But it's like a big, clusterfuck.
Yeah.
And you can't trust anybody on there because it's, you know what I mean?
It's true.
So
it's true. I mean, even within the NSA, like the NSA has like hacking tools and stuff, and somebody released it from out of there, and then somebody else, like they were selling it like on auctions online and stuff. Like I saw this from a YouTube video. I don't know it firsthand, but like it's just insane what is going on in the world. And like, you just think of things like Edward Snowden or Julian Assange, and to be honest, like what you were saying about QAnon and like people being like either infiltrated or shills or being like fake like heroes or something online when they don't know shit, or they're just like a lure, like a spotlight for like fish to go to, like these fucking liars. I mean, I have the issue with Julian Assange. Like people are saying that, okay, he's like through WikiLeaks, they're releasing a lot of documents that were not exposed. But funny enough, like whenever Julian Assange talks, and I've heard him like talk online a few times, he like nothing really comes out of his mouth, like information wise. Like I don't know. Maybe it's just me like misinterpreting. It just feels like they're not really giving.
It could have also been that he was just being
info.
extra careful, because he was also holding on to a lot of stuff and just being extra careful, like not.
And like
not
Edward Snowden, he was also at like a lot of like foreign embassies and stuff.
There's this video that I remember I posted in on the Discord. It is very short, but apparently this is going viral now. I related to Kash Patel.
Yeah,
because we were going to talk about James Comey and Kash Patel.
Oh, here we go. Let's listen.
Because wait, before you played actually, because in going back to what we were mentioning, about like how these are heroes. This has been going on continuously. In the first Trump presidency, everybody was celebrating and cheering, Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General at that time, and also everybody was like, yeah.
Yes.
And then they all backstabbed him. And then don't forget Bill Barr too.
Yeah,
no,
everybody
Bill Barr,
hated him afterwards.
Yeah. Exactly. Fast forward.
Just
now we're seeing the same,
just like that.
Yeah, Kash Patel is a good guy. She's the one to go in there and really all right. Nice. Anyway, I'm just saying, and now people keep always defending
the
Trump
way people
too.
change.
They keep saying
Well, you know what? A lot of people were. I think more people were for Trump in the past than these days, and the people who were against him are still against him. Oh shit!
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, but my point is that there will still be those who still make the excuse. They'll still make the excuse because
they always support.
They never learn,
and then other people
they never learn.
Are like, but he's not that bad, and he had to do what he had to do, and. Let's just play this.
I'm not saying he's.
Oh, here we go.
Super
Let's
bad.
listen to this.
Kash Patel, current director of the FBI, 6 months ago, right before he started.
It's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing?
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? You're going to accept Dick Durbin's word or whoever that guy is as to who is on that list and who isn't, and that it can and can't be released? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. We have an election coming up and we need to adjudicate this matter at the polls. God knows the FBI and DOJ aren't going to do anything. And we can't even get basic documents out. And this is why I'm tired of the Republican majority saying they're going to get.
I think a lot of people are. Yeah. No, I sure think a lot of people are. I don't know what to say. Either he has a target or his family got bought out. I don't know, man. I wonder why.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book?
FBI.
And the Black Book is what I mentioned. It's that diary. And this is no different than what back in the day with the investigation.
Call it a diary. Call it.
This is also the same thing with the Clinton. Remember the Clinton emails on the server? Same thing. The only way we got it
was Pelosi and Hillary Clinton.
No, this is when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, and she had an illegal server in her home. Which was having correspondence.
Yes, she had a whole server.
And the FBI had all the data and they wouldn't release it. And that was actually, believe it or not, thanks to WikiLeaks, they released it. Because of I think it was an intern for the Democratic Party and he got whacked. Let's be honest. He got whacked. They say, oh no.
If I remember correctly, they also raided Trump's house or something. And I think in a bathroom they found like a lot of like boxes of classified documents a while ago. Don't quote me on it, but I think I read that like a year ago or something like that. And it's like, but to be honest with you, it's not just them who.
Oh yeah, no, it's all they're all in it. They're all in it. It's no different than also what was his name. Biden's son, the laptop, the infamous laptop that Trump wouldn't shut up about, right? What happened? What happened with that?
They were pardoned, like
crickets.
The moment Trump was signing.
Yeah, no, but what about that? What about that? Like, this is what I keep saying, though. Like, nothing will ever come about.
You also want to show this? I don't know if this is legit or not.
This is from the flight logs, yeah. These are the released flight logs that were released, which you can actually find on WikiLeaks.
Claiming that.
No, you can find it on WikiLeaks. You can actually find this on WikiLeaks.
Oh, okay.
It was the released flight logs, and yes, Trump was on the flights. Does not mean that he actually went to the island. specifically, because it doesn't state. It doesn't really matter whether he did or not. It's not even the point. The point is, like Whitney Webb presents, is that these people had financial ties, whether they did or not. But they're not releasing that information because it's too graphic. Because they don't want to release the stuff. In relation to
too graphic to like say who was on a flight list. That's graphic.
Exactly. Well, no, the files in general. We can't release it because it's too graphic, right? So that's the thing.
Get that.
And so then, case closed, nothing to see here. And then that's it. That's the end of that. And yeah. What else can we show? I don't know. I mean, there's so much about this that is just like, Asman kind of presents a good point. You have to wonder, were their families threatened or something targeted? But, I think that's the too easy response.
Like scapegoats or something.
Here's my thought on why we will never get this stuff released. Because it was mentioned not too long ago, and I forget who said it, and it was someone who was close to the inside. I have to look it up again. And I agree with this too. Some of this information, whether it's the unadulterated email correspondence that was from the Clinton server, whether it was the data from what the hell is his name, Biden's son. It was Biden's son's laptop.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Epstein files, whether it's the Diddy files,
whether
it's all of these things. Hunter Biden, that's it. Thank you. All of this stuff, right? The reason they're never going to release it is because there's stuff in there. And I think actually this came from somebody who was actually in WikiLeaks. Actually, I remember this was back in the time of the Clinton server debacle.
Yeah.
The reason they're never going to release this stuff, folks, is because the stuff in there is so sensitive, so huge. The reverberations would literally be so scandalous that it would affect every government around the world,
ripple effect,
every echelon. It would literally put the whole thing upside down. You're talking about
like a huge domino effect, right? Like
it would actually
maybe
affect the
of
stock
like leadership,
market.
Rulership,
it would
elite.
No, it would affect
everything.
but it would affect the stock market. It would affect society. It would the whole caboodle would be would come under.
Foundations
Because
as we know it.
Unfortunately, we have allowed and enabled certain people who are in these power positions, who are corrupt, who are awful people as well, to have these positions and these roles. Or, some of them have stolen it or, been put there.
Here's another
one. And so this would have these reverberations, and this would be basically a hellscape upon the planet. And this is because you're talking about a system that's in play, that is centuries old. As much as that guy in the article was joking about Caligula, it's not a joke. This stuff has been in play for a long, long time. This isn't new. It's been around. And there have been people who've come out constantly, and that's why they shut them out. They shut them down. So yeah, what is this that you're showing?
This is an old post by Whitney Webb. This is from 2023. Okay, it's 2 years old. And she's basically saying that Jamie Dimon, so it's JPMorgan CEO.
Yeah.
He's implicated in a network who enabled Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Because how did he become a teacher? Like, how did he go from a teacher to where he was, this high financier?
I think these are like key words. The same network of closely connected people who enabled Jeffrey Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
The network.
The social network.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg comes out.
It's pretty creepy. Illuminati stuff. We're not on suicide watch. I keep saying it.
I mean,
we have no plans.
Yeah. I have no plans.
A long life ahead of us. Don't worry. That's for sure. I'm just saying.
But you know, that's essentially why I don't think they're ever going to reveal anything, because the moment they do, you know, that will just basically imagine how invested we are and if that trust, I mean, the trust is already dissolving slowly, you know, with the media, with the justice system. But imagine if that aspect, you would literally have the French Revolution, the literal French Revolution. You'd have it calling for blood on the streets, and that's the thing that they fear the most.
Yeah,
they fear, or even the Bolshevik Revolution. We've never seen a reoccurrence of that ever again, and they're so fearful of that. They're so fearful of that.
That's for sure.
Because these are the new. This is the new noble class, and to be honest, at this stage. That I'm not calling for violence, or I'm not calling for anything, but you'd think we'd have already had something like that, because it's kind of like we did in Iceland. Wow, I just got a missed call.
Yeah,
this is getting dangerous. Who's calling me? Frank.
Right. It's probably like Jeffrey Epstein from the dead.
Hold on.
We could have birdies.
Let me see what's going on.
It's probably saying you're pixelated. Can't do anything about it right now if it's the connection.
I've been told it because I'm pixeled, and I know it's not some conspiracy or anything, but they think it's because I have to restart the internet here.
Okay.
Maybe that will help. So,
do you want to pause it? We can like pause for technical difficulties.
And maybe take a long. We'll take it. Yeah, all right. We'll do one of those, and then I'll come back because it's pretty bad.
All right,
and I'll let you
right
know
back. Don't go anywhere.
Via. Yeah, sorry, folks. All right.
Okay, very short break, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
if it works. I don't know if it works now.
It works.
And, you know,
I think
and
it works fine.
It messed up just at the point where I was trying to say, I am not.
Yeah.
What I was trying to say before this whole the whole technical difficulty break was that, you know, this is what they're afraid of. They're afraid of, like, you know, a French Revolution style, you know, very bloodbath, violent, and the noble class. I mean, the noble class, right? But
yeah,
I was just saying, I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet, given like the amount of times, like, there's been so much overstepping, you know, with the government and everything. However, I'm not advocating for any violence or anyone to be unalived or you know, any of that. And we did see a very small case of that occur after the whole banking crisis with Iceland.
With Lehman Brothers.
Because
right?
Iceland actually kind of did that. They reclaimed their authority. The people went with pitchforks and with weapons and stuff to the banks, to the parliament, and they said, "We are not having this. You're out. You're done. You're gone." And
maybe it helps that they're an island as
and also
well.
they have a smaller.
That the politicians didn't have any way.
Yeah, and they have a smaller population as well. Yeah, but
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm not advocating for that, but I'm surprised it hasn't happened. And, you know, because you have people like Tim Pool who keeps like egging on, or, well, he's not egging on, but he keeps like, you know, predicting and claiming that there's civil war. And now they're talking about there's going to be civil war in Europe. And so, no, that's exactly what they want. They want us all to fight against each other and the other, right, as well, and all this. That's what they want. But that's not what we should do.
Yeah.
You know, we should hold the people responsible for the mess. We are also partly responsible, well, for those who voted in these lunatics, because at the end of the day, a lot of them are all they're all co-opted. And you know, I've had some dabblings in the whole political circuit. I know how it works. A lot of people, they first start off and they go into this stuff, you know, with you know, idealism and great ideas and stuff, and that's great. Nah, man, I don't know. It's just pointless. It's pointless.
Right. I think it works now.
Yeah.
So
now you're out of sync.
What I wanted to say.
That's what I'm being told now. Now you're out of sync.
Okay, I'll refresh.
Anyway, as I was saying, what was I saying? Yeah, a lot of people who enter politics, they're you know, they're very idealistic. They want to change the world. They want to save the world. They actually have noble intentions. But the problem is, the more further up they get in, because they realize, oh, I have to go further up, you know, to do things. It's the whole system, right? They get more and more colluded into this whole system, and then they get wrapped up into the whole corruption and everything. And before they know it, all that idealism and everything doesn't work. What's up? I know he's out of sync. I told him.
I refreshed. What do you want?
You seem fine to me, but I'm getting.
Am I still out of sync?
Is he still out of sync?
Am I still
I don't know.
sync? That'd be weird. Maybe it depends who's hosting.
I'm hosting apparently now, so that's why.
Yeah. Am I out of sync?
We're all out of sync in some way. We're all out of sync somehow. I just got like spammed by someone saying he's out of sync. Like, oh, God.
To be honest, there's like a delay on YouTube, like when I load it from my phone.
I actually
in general, like a few seconds.
Yeah.
So I have no idea.
No idea what's going on. But yeah, I mean, you seem fine to me.
Okay, feel free to comment in the chat.
Let us know.
The one you saw was.
Now it's all good. Now it's all good.
Okay, great. All right, I need to point something out. Like,
go ahead.
About this whole Epstein thing, because it's important. I'm sorry, I hate talking about this, but it's important, like, to mention it, because nobody else will, although somebody has. What's important is, like, regarding these politicians, like, why are they not doing anything about it? And what I'm thinking is, what if somebody has leverage on them? So, for example,
blackmail, right?
Well, yeah, for example, okay, I'm not saying this is the case, but Trump helped Netanyahu with Iran. Like, he sent B-2 bombers to Iran to like flatten a place, and Trump didn't want to have anything else to do with
sites,
it.
to basically take down the nuclear sites. Yeah.
But like we mentioned before, at one point, like the head of the security intelligence in the States, initially she said that they didn't have any proof that Iran was making a nuclear weapon. And then afterwards, like right at the last second, she kind of like changed her mind. And then Trump sent the B-2 bombers. Now, what if, I don't know, this is way out there, but what if?
Yes.
What if, for example, there was like Mossad or something? I don't know. Like, I want to live.
So I have to just bring something to the attention. Is that so? This ex-prime minister Barak, he was technically the rival to Netanyahu, which is why people are kind of also, it's a bit of a But sorry, carry on. Yeah.
So, if anybody remembers that Prince Andrew in the UK was exposed to be, I think he went on Epstein's island. He was also
many times. He was best buddies. He also was in a New York mansion too.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing Whitney Webb pointed out, by the way, that we should state. No, the FBI did not raid any of his other homes or investigate any. I mean, he had many homes. He has that other property. I think it's in
we'll show a video
New
next
Mexico.
after this.
In New Mexico as well. But anyway, sorry. Yeah.
But like the royal family in the UK was basically disgraced by Prince Andrew's actions. Like, I think King Charles now doesn't want anything to do with his brother.
Oh, he's been exiled. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, to that point.
Remember that horrible interview where he said like, "Oh, I have this condition with my sweat." Like,
yes, it was horrible. It was so disgusting.
Ridiculous.
It was so disgusting. So, but this article, I mean, sure, you said it's from Netanyahu's rival.
Yeah.
It says that Prince Andrew, another name on the list, has been referred to as Epstein's useful idiot by an ex-intelligence agent acting as a prize trophy due to his influential connections. So, they try to they try to blame it on like specific people when there are other people behind all of this. It's like the wizard behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz. There's some old guy
he's manipulating the things with the illusion.
Exactly.
Yeah. And by the way, let's not forget that Epstein's golden girl, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yes.
Her father, Robert Maxwell. It was exposed after the fact. This was a big media mogul, a big.
So he was like, if not the biggest, wasn't he? Like, he owned I think Fox.
Connected with the UK, but he was connected to French, British, and Israeli intelligence, and he was He was exchanging secrets. He was exchanging secrets and things like this. He was basically there you have it. There's another correlation,
Okay, so I've seen some TV shows like Homeland where there's like the US and Mossad and Mossad is like planning some other things within the American intelligence agencies. I know it's a TV show, but I'm not fucking stupid, and I do know Israeli people who are like pretty smart in general. Like, I'm just putting it out there. But so they can kind of control a situation. And to be honest, I think that in regards to politics, I'm pretty sure blackmail would work very well to achieve some means.
It always does. I mean, anybody who doesn't believe that this occurs always.
Now, I don't have like factual proof for any of this, but I'm a person.
But you don't need it. But you don't need it because
this
has been the case at hand. This is how Hollywood has worked. It's not called blackmail. It's called I scratch your back, you scratch mine. And then, or I do you a favor, and at some point down the line, you know, it depends what it's always how it's like framed. You know what I'm saying?
I also want to point out that Netanyahu just said that, Trump should get like the Nobel Prize, as if the Nobel Peace Prize, as if Netanyahu is calling the shots of who gets peace prizes. Like, I know that a lot of like Jewish people won the Nobel Peace Prize, but as far as I know, Norway gives it out. And it's like,
I mean, but it has become a bit of a joke at this point, the Peace Prize, because given like the fact that they've awarded it to certain people, like Obama won the Peace Prize.
Why he won it, but he took it anyway. And I think $1 million comes with that.
He's a president who like perpetuated the most drone strikes in American history. So like,
wow.
Although that may change now, of course, given the circumstances.
Do you want to see parts of this video? Like, why were residences not raided? Should we just watch a bit of it?
It would be nice if the FBI would explain why Epstein's other residences were not raided, like the Zorro Ranch property in New Mexico.
That's what I was telling you
never
about.
raided. And then why, it took them a month to get to the island in the U.S. Virgin Islands, Little St. James.
What?
Yeah, the New Mexico property, by the way, is very crucial because that was the main property Ghislaine Maxwell attended, and where an enormous amount of the trafficking was supposedly coming through, because obviously, as you know, New Mexico is on the border. It's also an isolated ranch on a massive acreage, like deserted. Okay, and
like on land as far as the eye can see, basically.
And based on also quite a few victim testimonies, significantly they stated. That's where most of the nasty was going on. So yeah, she's right. Why didn't they raid it? Why didn't they investigate?
She raises some good questions.
Be nice to know that. And of course, some of arguably some very important documents I believe could be obtained by the Department of Justice that are held not by the FBI, but the U.S. Virgin Islands, because there was this case involving the U.S. Virgin Islands and JPMorgan as it related to Epstein. And that case got settled out of court, so it didn't go to trial. But
wait, settled out of court?
Yeah.
I believe those documents would be very, very, very telling, but I would argue the reason they won't come out is because one of the people subpoenaed as part of that investigation was Elon Musk.
Oh, wow.
He wasn't necessarily accused of wrongdoing, but was subpoenaed because he was suspected of having had some sort of involvement with Epstein and JPMorgan. And there are allegations, of course, not really allegations, but, it was reported, before Musk was closely affiliated with Trump, that Epstein had been advising Tesla and was part of this effort in 2018 to take Tesla private with Gulf oil money or Saudi money. And at the time, Epstein was advising Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, and was also known to have a close relationship with the elite families of the United Arab Emirates, and also Kuwait, and I think Bahrain as well.
Wow. Okay, so we get Elon Musk with JPMorgan, Saudi royal family, blaming Trump about Epstein when Musk himself was involved with like shady deals with
this is what I'm saying,
like that to begin with. It's like, what? It's like, I'm not to blame. I'm gonna throw like shade or dirt on you, but I'm okay. As long as the spotlight is on you and not me.
There you go. But this is what I mean. Everyone's covering their ass. It's no different to the Harvey Weinstein situation. I just posted the links to Whitney Webb's books. They're 2 volumes, and you can actually highly recommend buy them. You can also get them on Kindle. It's volume 1 of One Nation Under Blackmail, where she goes in depth. She
We're not
also
sponsored, by the way.
No, we're not. But she highlighted this already previously in another video that she's been writing about it, and there's the second volume too that was released. And it's if you open the other link, you'll see that in the second one you'll see I think it's Bernie Madoff and Epstein. Bernie Madoff being the big. No, I don't know if that's Bernie Madoff actually. Wait, hold on. Let me just double check. Could be. Oh no. Okay, no, it's not Bernie Madoff. I thought it was. Is it Bernie Madoff? Wait, I'm tripping now. Let me just. No, I'm getting confused with someone else. Right. No, Robert Maxwell. That's Robert Maxwell in the cover photo. Yeah, I'm going crazy. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, Robert Maxwell and Epstein, and I would highly recommend check them out because she's an investigative, deep diving reporter. She really goes deep into all of this. It would actually one of our interests would be down the line when we get to that stage. We would love to have her on and interview her so we can really just like get really into the mindset.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Get everything from her unfiltered and not like
Exactly.
So Whitney Webb, shout out to Whitney Webb.
Whitney
Does
Webb,
a lot of great work.
we want an interview. Like seriously.
You can follow her on x.com. She's on x.com as well, and does a lot of good work.
Yeah, that would be a blessing if we could get her on. Like we need like zombies say brains over here.
Yeah, we need people who do the good work out there, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you know, this is the thing. It's like with the Harvey Weinstein situation that I was going to say, like, you know, people make a big deal that Harvey Weinstein was like some sort of big case. He wasn't. He was just the scapegoat. They threw him under the bus because actually all of a sudden, all the celebrities, all the Hollywood elite, they come out saying like, oh, no, it was an open secret. Everybody knew. Same thing with that guy from Nickelodeon. What's his name? Dan Schneider. All of this stuff, this is not secretive. They know about this. They're involved in this. And you know, all of these people with their unhealthy and immoral habits, you know, this isn't news to them. These people know, and they're involved, or they're indirectly or directly involved to some capacity themselves. So it's really just skirting the surface in many ways, like you said. These aren't even the head honchos.
Yeah.
So anyway, but we've already crossed the hour. We're already over time, but like maybe there's probably more to go into with this, but you heard our views. But I think we're gonna end off the stream with like two videos.
We are living almost in the Truman Show. If you start trying to get out, you get canceled. It's bizarre. Truman starts to see cracks. He walks randomly into a building that he never goes into one day. It's just a break room for all the actors in the Truman Show. And he like sees through the set, which is like someone in our life realizing that marketing and advertising and all this kind of stuff is ruining us. It's building a prison that we can't see, just like in the Truman Show. He starts like questioning reality. And the moment he does that, everyone around him steps in to say, whoa, man, you need to come back here, stay here, you need to stay here, which is like, what do our friends do when we start going like, hey, I don't want to do that, I don't want to participate in that. It's very eerily similar. The director of the Truman Show in the movie is willing to put him through all this turmoil to try to keep him in this little world they built for him. And Truman is willing to die for the truth. And if you're in the business of finding truth and your price isn't your life, your version of truth is for sale.
Yeah.
There you go. Very interesting, because this is all kind of like predictive programming, but like, you know how you just also referenced, and I just mentioned it just now, the Yellow Brick Road, Stay on the Yellow, and you mentioned The Wizard of Oz. And ironically enough, The Wizard of Oz is actually a movie, much like Alice in Wonderland and other themes and stuff that are used within mind control. And I mean, that's a whole other topic that we can get into.
And stuff like that. That's on another level of programming. I mean,
but this exactly fits into what we were talking about. Yeah, this fits into exactly what we're talking about, even under like all the Epstein stuff, because this is exactly it, right? You're being advertised constantly, you're being marketed, exploited, and bombarded with all this stuff. You're being told this is the hero, this is the guy. There's always a new story, and who's the weaver? Who's the weaver of the stories? You never see them, but they're hiding. Anyway, here's a really good, also a really cool video. I thought it was very funny.
It's a video
by The Forest Jar.
Yeah, on Instagram.
The Forest Jar. Very talented individual. And this is basically a video about what is freedom, and you have all these fictional and mythological and historical characters, and I thought it was quite apropos for this.
Make sure to give them a follow, like if you like this video, and make sure to give NTV a follow as well on Instagram.
Yeah,
if you like. If you don't, that's okay, but we'd appreciate it. Oh, sound.
Reality.
Oh, you can put
What
the,
is freedom? Art. Abstraction frees you from the shackles of reality. What is freedom?
Let's refresh. It starts without sound for some reason.
You just have to
give me 1 second. Okay, let's go.
Mathematics. Abstraction frees you from the shackles of reality.
What is freedom?
Art. Abstraction frees you from the shackles of reality.
What is freedom?
Stories. Giving a life a narrative allows you to feel as if you're in control of it. That's why my job is so important. All stories need an ending.
What is freedom?
People view it as the ability to plot your own course, but every time you pick a path, 1,000 other potential choices fade into impossibility.
Simply exercising your freedom reduces it.
What is freedom?
Sustainability. The forest will never make me rich, and I can live how I want, secure in the knowledge that it will always provide enough.
What is freedom?
I don't know. Am I free because I can do whatever I want? If I'm incapable of wanting whatever I want?
What is freedom?
It's not something humans value. If they did, it wouldn't be a third wish if I can't think of anything else kind of deal.
What is freedom?
People think I lack freedom because I can't follow my own desires. But I'm actually perfectly free, because the only thing I desire is to do what I'm told.
What is freedom?
Humans believe themselves freer than me because they were not designed with intention. But shuffling a deck of cards doesn't make it more free, just more random.
What is freedom?
People like to talk about positive and negative freedom, but they collapse into each other. No one could be free from domination if some are free to accumulate enough wealth to dominate.
What is freedom?
Blackout curtains. The opportunities provided by summer of eternal sunshine only represent true freedom if I also have the ability to shut her sunshine out.
What is freedom?
An impossibility for beings who are trapped in an eternal cycle of cause and effect. Mortals are sentient billiard balls who believe they truly want to go into the pocket.
What is freedom?
I like that one.
This one?
Wait, carry on.
Freedom rises from the
one,
ashes. It is the ability to live multiple lives in multiple ways. Humans will never experience it and will consequently always be boring, weak, selfish, and sad. That's why I aided Dax into this quest for universal rebirth.
Boredom, selfishness, weakness, and sadness are not just the result of our lack of freedom.
King Kong.
They are also conditions which stunt our imagination and cause us to believe that our servitude is inevitable.
King Kong said that. Well, I guess it's true, but I always wonder if it matters. Maybe everything is predetermined, including humans' inability to accept that. If freedom is impossible, so is giving up on it.
It's very. I find it very intellectual how they've interspersed philosophy with this kind of comical.
Exactly, like
element.
in different places, different cultures.
Yeah,
it did a good job of
so
it.
in the beginning you had Thoth, and then Quetzalcoatl, and then like Death, the Grim Reaper, and then yeah, I quite like that. So we come to the end.
So once again, be sure to follow us on YouTube, on Rumble, and on Kick, and our socials are X, Instagram, and be part of the community on Discord. Keep an eye on our videos during the week. Like, we release them every other day.
There's clips as well from the stream. So if you usually you can find the VOD, but given that this stream had a few quirks and stuff, you could probably pick up on the clips, which are like the highlights of the stream. And we're hopefully also gonna have some shorts coming out too. So yeah. And meanwhile, don't trust anybody. Just trust your own instincts, trust your gut. And don't live in expectation, because you'll always be disappointed. So yeah. What is it that they say? Always prepare for the worst, expect the best. That's it.
Exactly. And I've posted the links to our socials, to our social media, and also like our video channels in the comments in the chat.
Yeah. We hope to, for the next end stream, I mean, we thought, okay, we're going to cover this topic because this was right now the thing. It was in the, one of the main things. But, we did promise that we would go into UFOs, UAPs, and other stuff.
We were going to go into
that,
but unfortunately, or fortunately, this topic came up. And like we didn't even want to cover like Diddy to begin with. But then Epstein came back, like after all these years, like from the grave.
But it's remarkable how it was Diddy and then back to back,
Diddy
like that.
and Elon.
Did you notice?
And we also had something on
one
Elon,
day, right?
Who brought this to light?
He went to the white party or something. So and contrary to popular opinion, don't let people make you feel stupid if they say, well, there's nothing to it.
It's just a conspiracy. Don't think more into this. I mean, sure.
This is one way that they're never going to get the trust of the people this way. And I think this is only going to be the downfall of really more like with the system of people, because they're just going to lose. Like people already lost their faith in most stuff, in institutions and stuff. Well, I think with this is going to get even worse now. So, but in some ways that could be good because we need a change, a real change, and it has to come from the people themselves. You know what I mean? Because damn the man on top.
And you can be like Jim Carrey in the Truman Show, like just trying to get a grasp of reality instead of like living as a robot.
Yeah, you just gotta, get out there, live your life,
touch some grass as well. Like watch our videos, but also touch some grass.
Exactly. And with that, I guess we say bye, and hopefully you have a good rest of the week. Tune in on Friday. We are going to cover the news headlines and stuff. There's a lot more to unpack on Friday. We're streaming from 5 p.m. Central European Standard Time. And until then,
this
was
NTV. Stay tuned and
catch you next time.
This is NTV.